Hi, welcome to Scandalous Sundays. I'm Cam.
And I'm Dr. Liv, and we are jumping into a conversation about what sex is like now that we're in our 30s versus when we were in our 20s.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one because I read a couple articles about it, on like a magazine, and they talk about and women kind of describe what sex is like in their 30s versus when they were in their 20s, and a lot of them said like kind of like slowed down, or sometimes they like their sex drive is still the same, or it's just very interesting to see how different it is. Like I was thinking about that for myself, and I think I just maybe just understand myself more than I did when I was in 20s. And I saw something somebody said in like an article from like Bustle, and it was saying that in their 20s it was like you were discovering something. In your 30s you like understand it more. And I feel like maybe that's accurate.
Yeah, I for sure. I think like 20s is such a time to like experiment and like you're kind of more insecure, trying to figure out who you are. And I feel like in your 30s, for the most part, you're just like, I know exactly who I want. I know what I
Right.
want and what I like, what I don't like, and I'm gonna
Right.
start to tell you.
Right, exactly. Like it's like I feel like you know yourself more, so you ask for the things more, or you're not afraid to direct or do whatever you need to do. I feel like it's just like, okay, it's about me. You get a little bit more selfish in a good way.
Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely bossier.
Yeah.
I only got so much time here.
Right. Right, because you're busy. Like I was like, yeah, in my 20s, I felt like I probably had like a lot more time than I do now. Like I feel like I'm always trying to do something or go somewhere, and it's just like, yeah, I don't have time to like mess around or fake anything, because that's also another thing.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's something that I hear so much with like even the clients that I work with is like 20s where we all fake orgasms and like fake what we like, and we just I don't know, put all of our attention on our partners. And then I think in our 30s we just kind of hit this wall of like, okay, wait, but I get to also like just really enjoy this and have fun and you know do what I want.
Yeah. Like what is like you just I don't know what it is that changes that you're like I need a lot more self-satisfaction, you know? Like where you kind of just ask her, like you tell it, you're like, I need to be satisfied. Like, and there's no
I mean, I think
moving on that.
confidence, right? And like you learn that you are worthy. I feel like for a lot of women in our 20s, like we're learning our worth and our self-esteem. Like a lot of us are pretty insecure, especially with like societal messaging telling us like who we should be and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then I think at some point you just kind of hit that point where you're like, wait, I am worthy. I am confident.
Hmm.
And like I do get to have orgasms and everything.
Yeah. But I also wonder if it's a little bit like this day and age too. Like, was it even back in the 80s or even 70s or 60s where if you were in your 30s, could you even ask for more? Or were you, I feel like now even still like you said, kind of society too, like it's more appropriate to kind of get what you want. And so I think I would be interested to see if it was like, if it's just even now in this time, it's all kind of matching up. Like me being in my 30s, and then kind of this like sexual revolution of like women like asking what they want to like all matching up at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely like more feminine power. And I mean, like the phrase of like the future is female. There's a lot of
Mhm.
like girl power, which kind of makes sense if you think about the fact that we grew up with the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
Like we have that ingrained in us, that girl power. And it's just kind of evolved with us as we've grown up.
Yeah. Yes, fun thing about the Spice Girls, I did go to their concert in the 5th grade, and then also there is a video of me out there being sporty Spice with a little crop top on, and I did have platform boots. So it's all about that girl power.
So Cam's homework for the next week is to find that video.
I know, I'm gonna dig that video up. But yeah, I mean, I just don't have time. I don't have time to play around. And then I think also it's just like I think it does make it more enjoyable. Even if it does happen less, it's more enjoyable.
Yeah. I feel like the sex drive too is, I think it's different because neither one of us has kids, right? So I think, your sex drive does change when you're momming pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like, I don't know, I kind of feel like my sex drive is different now in that like I want sex more, I think, for like that satisfaction versus like feeling like like needing it for validation. I don't know if that makes sense, right?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Like in your 20s, you kind of like you're trying to get validation or like approval from like people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in your 30s, you're like, no, I actually just like want sex right now because it like makes me feel good. And like it's fun.
Yeah. Like it would, yeah, I can see that. Like like when I was, partying and doing these things, it was like, yeah, I just want to hook up because I can.
Right.
It's like I can do it. I can get this person. But yeah, now it is more just like I want it because I want it. And it's because it feels good. And yeah, I agree with that. That's a very interesting point.
Reasons for it. But it is funny like what you said about like the time too, like the era that we're in, because I don't work with a ton of most of the women that I work with are in their 20s or 30s, but every once in a while I get a woman that's more kind of in her 50s, 60s, even like late 40s, and a lot of them don't have sex or like don't have a sex drive at all. And I do think it's because, for like while they were in their 20s and 30s, it really was just like that focus on a male partner versus like on their husbands versus like on them. And so at some point they did just they're like, ugh, sex is overrated.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get that chance to really explore and dive into like a sexual connection that's satisfying to her as well. So I do feel like there's definitely like, we're in an era where we get to talk about sex. I mean, like it's, we have an entire podcast about like talking about scandalous things, and it's not really about being shamed or anything like that,
Right. Right. Because yeah, I feel like, but even I feel like even 5 years ago or, a few years ago, there wasn't a lot of talk about it, about female sexuality or, and I feel like, now in the last about 5 years, it's a little bit more about, what you want. But I think, it just kind of progressed in like in a good way, like my age and this kind of sexual revolution. So I feel a little bit lucky about it. But I mean, even still, like I think it just ties into knowing who you are as a person. I feel like now I know who I am. I know what I want, who I am, and what I like. And that feels good because I feel like in the 20s it was just like I didn't really care about that, and there was only a few times where I really just enjoyed like sex. I think, like even though maybe I had multiple partners, but still just didn't really enjoy it until my 30s when I really knew like, okay, these are the things that I like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you get to know your body, get to know yourself. And like, I feel like in my 20s, my brain was always like, overthinking about what sounds am I making? What am I looking like? Like not fully present. Whereas I think in your 30s, hopefully you've gained that confidence in yourself that you do just relax and enjoy the moment instead of being like, oh, like, am I doing things right? Or, just do I look like this angle?
Yeah, or just that it doesn't matter, right?
Doesn't matter.
That's what I've kind of gained from it, is that it just doesn't matter. Like, and everybody does weird shit.
I mean, that's the thing is like the movies show sex as this like always smooth, beautiful thing, unless it's like a comedy, right? But like sex is always, there are weird noises and awkward things happen. And, like it's awkward and funny and fun and not anywhere near what the movies show.
Yeah, I feel like have you ever I always like Friends, you know that Friends episode. There's always a Friends episode for something, I feel. But where I think it was like Ross and Rachel had sex and it got caught on camera. And they and at the end they wanted to watch it because they're like, you know, thinking it might look hot and it ended up looking like so horrible. I just feel like that's what it is now. It's just like it's not choreographed. It looks probably crazy from the outside, but it doesn't matter as long as you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's really that's life too. You know, that's like one of my mottos is like how you have sex is how you live your life. And I think exactly like sex in life is awkward and ridiculous and you have like weird moments, but if you're just present and have fun, then you get like pure satisfaction out of it.
How you have sex is how you live your life.
Yeah, life motto right there. It's like
How did you discover that motto?
I think just working with the women that I work with is this realization of, you know, if you're not confident in bed, you're probably not confident in daily life. If you're not asking for what you want in bed, you're probably not asking for what you want in daily life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially like in work, if you can't tell your partner, like, touch me right here, you're going to go to your boss and be like, I need a raise, you know, or I want that promotion. And so, or, you know, if you can't relax and just enjoy the present moment while you're having sex, you're probably not relaxing and enjoying the present moment in your day-to-day life. So
like, so if your mind is always running, even during sex, it's
probably doing it in the rest of your life too. Yeah. That's why a lot of my coaching comes from, because my coaching is like essentially finding the confidence and power within you. But we always go through the pelvic floor because you hold so much within that.
Mm-hmm.
You can figure that out. It spreads out into everything else you're doing in life.
Okay. Even what about sex drive? I feel like I don't think I guess sex drive has changed too much. I think, you know, I just I just think, but yeah, it just happens less because I'm a little bit more choosy with my partners.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going out there like, you know, crazy anymore. So it's just like now it's just less because I do it less because I don't want to like go throw myself out there all the time.
Yeah. But I think, yeah, I mean, that's the same with life, right? Like you get picky about how you're spending your days and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because you realize life is precious and like, I don't know, it does, I don't know if sex becomes more special. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but I feel like it does become a little bit more sacred.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much in like who you're choosing as your partner, but like you do, because you know what you want and how you like it, you do get a little bit more picky about, you know, what you're doing, I think.
Yeah, and then what your time? Like it's like if I'm gonna spend my time doing this, I need to have fun. I need to have fun and enjoy it.
Yeah, because life is stressful enough. You want to like enjoy sex and not just, you know, you don't want to just like lie there and be like, fine, I'll do that.
Right.
There's no fun in that.
Right. It's like there's just no time for anything as women. So every moment has to count.
It's because we're badasses and we're busy creating amazing careers. And so you gotta choose how you spend your time. I mean, that's true with like everything with how you're spending your time, right? Like it's just prioritization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a, you know, if you're like in college, you're going to class for the most part, like, you know, you're going to class, maybe have a part-time job, but life is a little bit more chill.
Right.
College generally. And so, yeah, you're just kind of exploring too. But I think that's like another part of it too, though, is that like when you're sitting there, you know, like in your 20s, when you're exploring and you're trying to figure out what you like and what you don't like, it's still, you know, like you do kind of play around with and have a little bit more because you're trying to figure out what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in your 30s, if you know what you like, you're like, this is what I'm going to go get instead of like, let me try this.
I feel like we talk about boundaries a lot, and I wonder, like, do you explore your boundaries more in your 20s or in your 30s?
I feel like in my 30s, I don't think I had boundaries in my 20s.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like that's a 30s thing that I'm learning. Because I think you have to know what you want and explore before you can figure out your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
That's true for everything, right? Like, you don't automatically know your boundaries without having gone past your boundaries.
Right. That's it. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see like liking, there's, maybe instances that I've had that now I know that I like now in my 30s, but maybe even going, staying within that range or staying within that kind of situation, that sexual situation.
Well, and I feel like that changes too with like your partner too, right? Like you can have different boundaries and like edges with
Mm-hmm.
else, or like feel more comfortable with different people.
I feel like I didn't really, yeah, I guess, yeah, you didn't have any boundaries. You didn't know what boundaries were. That does make sense to me because, yeah, I didn't know anything. Like, I still look at like 20-year-olds and I'm like, you don't know shit. And it's true, you don't. And so, yeah, I think in 30s, yeah, you can play around with the things that you like because, yeah, you know what you want to do and what you like and what you enjoy. But yeah, in my 20s, it was just like, I think it was hard to find something that you enjoyed just because you were just trying everything, like, or, trying something and it was all new.
Yeah. Well, and like, I mean, in our 20s, I mean, especially like during college 20s, like you're sharing dorm rooms. And I was just thinking about that the other day, actually, just like the different things we did in college that you're like, oh my gosh, what was I doing?
Yeah.
You're like, you're sharing bunk beds and in like a frat house and things like that. And you're like, what was I? Where was I? Where was my confidence and my ability to be like, yeah, I don't like this.
I would die if somebody showed me a twin bed now. Try to get me into a twin bed now. I would literally just like, I'd be like, what are you doing? Because yeah, back in the day, a twin bed was okay to like share and sleep and have sex in, and now it's just like I would literally, if it's not at least a queen, we're not doing anything. I'm not even talking to you. I'm leaving your house.
Oh my God. Do you remember when you had an air bed?
Yes. For a whole semester, I slept on an air bed, which like it was even calling it an air bed was like a point of contention with people because they were like, it's a mattress. It doesn't have a frame. It's a mattress. But yeah, and I even think I even tried to sleep with somebody on that one, and that was just like horrible.
Oh man. I talked to Amanda. So Amanda is like our, for those who don't know us from college days or now. Amanda is one of our good friends, and she was my roommate for pretty much all of college. And I actually talked to her like a while back, and I was like, I'm so sorry for everything I did to you in college. Because like the amount of times there's like, it was like freshman year, there's like one morning she like woke up and rolled over and we're like in a shared bedroom, and she just saw like a dude's like naked back facing her, and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
It's like no shit. It was, I guess you just say you do what you can do if you have no place to go, right?
Implementation. So learning boundaries with the people in your life as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like respecting your friendships.
Right, exactly. Yeah, respecting, yeah, that's exactly, expecting your friendship, respecting your roommates, all of that.
I mean, that's I think another part of it too, is like you gain a lot more respect for yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I feel like I did. Like I respect who I am and what I want a lot more. And so that like comes out in like my sex life as well, because you're not willing to just do something because it makes somebody else happy. Like I have to be happy with it as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I think, yeah, once you like find your orgasm, then you're like, I feel like I found my orgasm in my late 20s and I'm never letting it go.
And I still have women in their 30s who are still finding their orgasms. So maybe that's like the turning point. It's not so much your 20s and 30s. It's like when you realize you can have an orgasm.
You're like, you hold on to that. Hold on to that.
I get to have this too.
Right. But maybe, yeah. So it's like it's just growing, right? So growing into it.
But I do think that there is another part of it of like that we're lucky to live in an age where it has become, we talk more about female satisfaction, and there are like so many different courses and books about orgasms and things like that. So I do feel like we're very lucky to live in an age where we are told like, hey, you're worthy, you're deserving, and you're allowed to have like these amazing orgasms.
Right.
Enjoy sex and be in the moment. So definitely grateful for that.
Well, we were on that subject. We were talking about books.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And the books that we were like dirty books that we read like early in the, back in the day. Like, what is it, 10 years now? Over 10 years? We were like early 20s to now to what we read now. I feel like mine really hasn't changed too much, the books that I've read. But I'm more critical about it now. Like, I'll read the books, but I'm like, that's really annoying. That whole storyline is annoying. That's more me now.
Can I just point out that like we started with, I mean, the whole idea of this podcast, which we've like totally gone on a tangent with this podcast, but was started because Cam used to read us Red Hot Reads.
Yes.
Cosmo in college. And I feel like that's where my dirty books like started.
Yeah, and like I got into it, and I feel like I should at one point do like a excerpt read of how I did it in college, because I feel like and those were some good times.
We need to bring back Red Hot Reads for sure. Send us a message if you're all about listening to Kim doing Red Hot Reads.
And we're like reading one for everybody, and like a whole group of people, and everybody would like really be into it.
The best. I love it. But yeah, I feel like my books have changed. I used to be really all about like one of the authors I used to read a lot was like Penny Wilder, which is all about like she's got a lot of bad boys and innocent girl like character, the rescue, or like I don't know, like dirty up the girl, or like make her grown up, or it was like that innocent girl character,
right?
And that is definitely not the kind of books that I read these days.
I mean, we always talk about this. I think we go back to this every episode, but like 50 Shades of Grey, like again, another one of those tropes of innocent girl, virgin, and this damaged guy, and she changes him. But I always say this, it's not that he was changed by her, because honestly she's like completely unremarkable, but it's the fact that she was a virgin and he's very possessive, and that's the reason why he loves her, because it's like that's the only dick she's ever had in her life, and that's all he wants.
But I feel like there's a lot of like that is the core of a lot of like romance novels, is like this like I mean, the sugar daddy and like innocent girl kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's like a fun fantasy to be taken care of, and like, I don't know, like but yeah, I feel like that's definitely the stuff that I was reading more when I was in my 20s. And
Right. So you want to go through a speed round of dirty books?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Go for it.
Okay. I'm going to start off with this book right here called Fix Her Up. And I feel like this is what we were just talking about. This plays into that trope of like the damaged or like the asshole guy and the innocent, like virgin girl, which I mean, she was a virgin, but she also had a vibrator. So it was very confusing. But, I mean, like, it's fine. It's just like, pick one, I guess. But yeah, he was like, he was a baseball player or something. And he like comes back home and she was like the little sister because he grew up there and she was like the little annoying sister. And he like sees her in a different light. And of course, it's exciting that she's a virgin. And, like, that's her only guy. But of course, she's a virgin. And then also he's like, I guess, a sex god and remarkable at sex. So her first experiences with this guy. But yeah, they end up getting married and stuff. The sex scenes were pretty dirty. I will say that. So I did definitely enjoy this, the sex scenes, but I did not care for the virgin trope. I hate those.
That's yeah. I feel like that virgin trope is just like over it. I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to remember. So I have I read like everything on Kindle these days, except for like my workbooks because I like to highlight things. But like the fun books but like Own Me by Penny Wilder. I mean,
okay.
Just like that title alone is just like says everything.
Yeah, Own Me. And I think that's what we talked about, like dirty sayings and stuff like that, how we hate that.
Like, yeah, I'm my own woman now.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean this one is like totally typical, like woman is in distress and she needs to be rescued by this like bad boy.
Yeah.
And so they're all the same kind of, right? Like they
Mm-hmm.
all the same story line, and you know that it's going to end up with a happily ever after, and they get married and like have a baby at the end.
Right.
And
you changed him.
Yeah. And you just want to like sit there and yell at the woman and be like, hey, you can do it yourself too. Like you're a badass. Live your life.
Okay. My next one is After. I don't know. I'm trying to see. Hold on. Oh, I can't show it. Okay. Anyways, After. It's actually a movie. It's movies now. They're like movies in like a series of movies now, kind of like 50 Shades of Grey. But yeah, like there's like some sex scenes and stuff like that and that. But yeah, again, it's one of those ones where she's a virgin, innocent little girl, and then she, going to college, and she meets this bad boy and changes him, and he was so damaged from his childhood and all this stuff. And honestly, I read all of the books, and like he's just super effing abusive, and like she just keeps staying with him because for some reason that just says love, right? It's him being like super abusive. And I think I did the audiobook on this one, and like I would be yelling in my car on my way to work, like, why are you staying with him? But I kept reading it, right? The thing is like, do you hate these books? Yes. It was like, do as I older like hate these books? Yes. But do I keep listening to them? Yes. And I don't know why. It's like a hate, like love-hate relationship. It's like, yeah, the sex scenes are great, but like you have to go through all of the rest of the BS.
I feel like it's harder to find books that aren't like that. Like,
yeah.
Most romance novels are like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do love that you listen to it on audiobook. I have never listened to a romance novel on audiobook.
I had long drives, and that was like one of the first few, or not first few, but like one of the few audiobooks that I listened to, because it was just like I had a long drive, and yeah, I would just be yelling at the radio like, this is stupid. And then keep playing.
Mine are, so I actually, these are the books that I read now because I love them. Brittany Sahan's Stealth Ops series is fantastic. Like I love the characters that she has. She's so great at it's like a SEAL team. Like it's like the guys are all like SEALs or like former SEALs. But like all of the women are just like pure badasses on their own. They're like CIA agents and just like, you know, they can kick ass and like handle a gun. And there's no, that's always like rescuing each other versus like the dude rescues the girl. Like the woman's just as badass as the dude and they like kick butt together.
Yes, equality in our sex stories. Love it.
Yeah. There's still a little bit of that like rescuer kind of thing, but not nearly as much. And like the woman's just like, there's no like virgin trope or anything like that. You just like you read something that the chick is doing and you're like, yeah, you're bad. Right. I want to be like you. So I feel like that's what I tend to read these.
Like gratitude.
Yeah.
All right, this next book I have here, Good Luck Charm. Okay. So one of these books I read on vacation. I actually enjoyed this book, because it is more. It's less. There's no virgin trope in it, so that's always good. But this one is more. So they were all a couple in high school, and he was like a star hockey player or something, and then he broke up with her and left for like the pro leagues or whatever. And then he like comes back and she's like a nurse or something. And he comes back and then they like kind of start up again. But the sex scenes were great in this one. And yeah, there was no, you know, virgin or anything like that. They like both knew each other, both had really dirty sex. And it was a good one. I enjoyed it. Like I had no problems with this one. So Helen Hunting, good job. And Tessa Bailey is another one, is a good author. I just didn't like that story.
Like recommendations. And if you're listening to this and you have recommendations for us, let us know. My last one it's like a whole series. Netflix made, I think it was a Netflix series, Virgin River.
Yes.
I watched the first season and then there's like this huge gap and I was like, I need to know what happens. And so I read like all of the books, and the books in the series is pretty different, I feel like.
Oh, really? Okay, I'm gonna have to read it.
And I remember, so this is where like I'm going to kind of contradict myself a little bit, but like I feel like the women in Virgin River are kind of a little bit there. I don't think there's any like virgin trope, but there's definitely very much like dude rescues girl in River. But I feel like most of the women are kind of badasses in their own, or they're a little bit stronger in general too.
Yeah.
But it's also just entertaining and like a fun read.
Right.
So you definitely still have that moment of like, what are you doing, chick? Like, deal with your issues.
Right.
But it's, I don't know. I actually really enjoy like both the TV show and the book series.
I love the show, so I need to read the books.
It's so different. Like I feel like season 2 ended on a crazy cliffhanger. I'm gonna need it to come back now.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because like the books are very much like almost like standalone different couples books, so very much like romance novels. Where he just takes like the TV series takes it into like a whole show, right?
Right.
But yeah, I really like the books. They're good.
Okay. That's a good recommendation. All right, last book.
All right, give it to me.
The Right Swipe. This one has a woman CEO in it, so good. So woman CEO, she owns her own company. She actually owns a dating app company or something like that. And she she hooked up with this guy that she met on her app, and then kind of like a year later discovers him again. and they kind of like court each other and go out. But yeah, nothing like crazy, no like a problematic anything. It was just a good story. And yeah, it was about a strong woman who really didn't need a man, but just, you know, wanted one and found a good one. So I enjoyed it.
Wasn't there a Netflix movie that they made kind of like that?
I don't think so. Not on this one.
It was an attorney. Was it an attorney?
Yeah, it was two attorneys, I think. And that was called what was that called? And it had like Taye Diggs and Lucy Liu in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds familiar for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their assistants try and hook them up. Yeah. Because they're like they made them yeah, I like that. I watched that movie.
It's on my like Netflix queue list, which
is it's cute. It was really cute. I liked it.
I mean, that's the thing about like these romance novels is you kind of sometimes you just want to like lie on your couch or in the bathtub and read a silly little story and just kind of escape life, right? Like we've talked about sexual fantasies before, just because you enjoyed a book about a woman being rescued by a man, like a strong, dark, mysterious man, that you're like not a badass in real life. It's just right. Sometimes you just want to escape reality a little bit. And
right, exactly.
So let us know what your books are and if you've noticed anything about sex in your 20s versus in your 30s. And yeah, we'll be back next week.
Bye.